that last sigh gets it all out of your system, so you're pumped for the next 2 hours.
I keep thinking we should say the Steve Show because the week starts on a Sunday. That should be maybe our new slogan.
I like that
Nice.
because it doesn't really mean anything.
No.
Which is the best kind of advertising, in my view. Amy Mann, I don't want to name drop particularly bland songs. You're Beautiful. When it's so broad and bland, it really can be specific to everyone. It can mean anything you want it to mean.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think in your RP accent, that's a fantastic new slogan.
Yeah, well, we'll spend a bit of time in the studio after a different studio, maybe just knocking together the Steve Show because the week starts on a Sunday.
I wonder if I can tie you in. If you could just pop in on the end of one of the pre-existing jingles.
Yeah,
we'll just see how that would sound. Now hang on, which one can we? Which one's a good one to use? That one. I'm not a trained broadcaster, but stick with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stephen Merchant on 6.
The Steve Show because the week starts on a Sunday.
Nice.
Something like that?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I don't actually. Some people do feel the week starts on a Sunday.
Yeah, they do.
Others on a Monday.
Yeah.
Get in touch. What's your view? No, anyway, Steve Show 6 Music. Thank you very much indeed. We got a bit sidetracked there, but I apologise. We got the whole gang here. We got Rufus, super posh. Harry works in a bank, and we got the lovely Sammy. She's from the north.
Still snotty.
Really, still not better. And how was the train journey this time? I know it always sets you up in a good mood. Was it?
It was actually excellent. Not only were the trains running on time, which is a rare and beautiful thing, but I was surrounded by a gaggle of girls.
Lovely.
Who were waved off on the platform by crying older women. I assume they're mothers.
Are they going to war?
Well, very similar, yes. They're going to X Factor boot camp.
Oh, wow.
They were
Really?
a girl group off to boot camp.
Wow, were they glamour pussies?
They were something along that line, yeah. They were orange.
Sure.
And they got changed right in front of me and everyone else on the train. I
What,
saw
in the
lots
carriage?
of ladies' bottoms this morning.
In the carriage?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope that features
Some
on
of
the show.
them in the vestibule end. So, at least they're
They did what with their vestibule ends? What?
I tried to think, I just looked out the window. But I put my MP3 player on, but didn't actually put any music on so I could eavesdrop, but not look like I was eavesdropping.
What's the big goss? What's the name of the band, do we know?
It was either Desire or Destiny.
It can't be Destiny, surely.
Probably Desire.
Desire. And, 4 or 5?
5 girls.
Okay.
Very pretty girls.
Sure.
All from Newcastle, so I'm obviously going to be voting for them from the next series.
Was it a multiracial mix?
No, they were all orange.
And you didn't hear any kind of a cappella tuning up before they got to camp?
One of them was singing Dance With Me, Calvin Harris Dizzy Rascal classic. It wasn't particularly good.
Okay.
So I'm going to hold back any feeling until I actually hear them on the telly box.
Was she covering one ear as she's saying? They all do that, don't they? I've never quite understood why.
Was there one, and I think we all know which one I'm talking about in Girls Aloud, the one that looks like she's won a competition to hang out with the other more attractive
She actually
girls?
had something wrong with her face. Yeah.
You know when some like a young kid...
Scab, it was horrible.
There was a young kid on Jim Will Fix It would say, I'd love to dance with 5 Star. And when they'd perform the routine, you could spot which one it was. Yeah, sure, they were 10. That was one of the giveaways, but they just didn't have the same moves and the same look. There's always one.
There was also a leader, and you could tell who she was because she wore the biggest skirt.
I was going
She
to
had
say,
the most ruffles.
given 10 minutes, would you be able to... Because it seems to me the Spice Girls' massive success was formed basically on the sporty, posh, scary baby thing. Maybe given 10 minutes, could you knock up a quick adjective, just a single word to describe each one of the girls?
Scabby. Bambi.
Okay.
She was my favourite. I
That'd
liked
be,
her.
sort of easily reduced to tears, gangly legs.
Yes, very gangly legs, massive eyes.
Sure.
Lumpy.
Lumpy.
Yeah.
In all the right ways or all the wrong ways?
Very much the wrong ones.
Wow.
Less scary, more terrifying. I wouldn't have crossed her, the one sat next to me. She brought me to tears. And bland, because the fifth one, I can't remember her face. I was
Really?
sat there for 3.5 hours.
Wow, just a big blank face.
Just an amassed a hair, orange and skirt.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Putting the word destiny after all those is great. It's terrifying destiny. Lumpy destiny.
Or
Bland destiny.
I think lumpy desire, scabby desire. I think
desire.
I've experienced all of those emotions at different times.
I think those websites exist.
From the new album Beautiful Future, that's Primal Scream and The Glory of Love. Steve Show 6 Music with me, Steve Merchant, and my gang here. Coming up later on the show, we have Louis C.K., fantastic American comedian who's doing a run here in London and also up in Edinburgh. And if you're not familiar with Louis, then you can go online, you can search around on YouTube, you'll see some fantastic clips from his shows. So check him out maybe check him out during the news, because I'm sure you've already heard the news. And they're not going to be hugely disappointed if people are checking out some comedy during the news. It's probably quite depressing. So, familiarise yourself with Louis, and then we'll be talking to him a bit later. And also live music. Charlie Winston, who Rufus turned us on to. Rufus, how would you summarise Charlie's sound for anyone who's not heard it before?
The first time I ever did a show, Steve, the Steve Show, I played a Charlie track, Like a Hobo, which I believe he's going to play live for us. I first came across his music about 8 years ago when he was doing them. He used to write a lot of theatre soundtracks. And I then saw him play with his brother Tom Baxter, who Six Miss may be familiar with. So he plays in Tom's band, he plays on his own, he plays with he's bringing his harmonica player Ben in today, and they're a fantastic live outset, quite skiffly, quite funky folk, but all sorts of different sounds. I'll let the music speak for itself.
Thank you very much indeed, I appreciate it, but you've done an excellent job of flagging ahead to that coming up later. But let's get a musical choice from Harry before we move on.
Yeah, well, everything that gets sent into the Steve Show gets listened to. Either you do it, or occasionally you'll divvy out some stuff for everyone else. And I picked this up last week by a guy called JJ Pistolet, who's from the New Forest. Now, he's supported the likes of friends of the show, Johnny Flynn, but he's also done support gigs with Katie Melua, which is a bit strange. But he's very Rufus-centric because he's triple-barreled. His actual name is Justin James Howard Young.
Okay.
Which is phenomenal. And the track features a bit of muted trumpet, which I know is right up your street. Anyway, this is a lovely track by JJ Pistolet called Happy Birthday.
Well, if I had my way.
Harry's musical choice on this week's show. It's a cracking tune here.
Yeah, Happy Birthday by JJ Pistolet. I've got no idea when that's coming out, but you can go to his MySpace, JJ Pistolet, and get it there.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll be back with, I'm sure, some droll chat, and Ray Charles after this.
Next weekend.
From 1954, Ray Charles, of course, and I've Got a Woman. One of those tunes that's sort of been labelled as maybe a defining track in the birth of R&B music as we understand it. So just take that on board, Sammy. Okay, I know you're young, probably you don't remember 1954. Glory days, great days. There's girls in your school, I know, who are still looking forward to 1954, as they are still living in 1941, is it?
He now dresses as a man from the 1940s.
This is going to seem very bizarre if you don't remember the conversation we had before. Were you around for this, Ruth?
No, I wasn't, no.
Can you give us a brief summary? It's extraordinary.
I went to school with a girl who spent the whole of our high school days dressed as a boy from World War II. She had a ration book, long woolen socks, she used a proper pen and ink pot. Everything was proper 1940s, and I found her by social networking sites aplenty, and she now dresses as a man from the 1940s.
I like the way that her entire life isn't from the 40s, so she's on the social networking sites, she's on Facebook. Yeah.
Exactly, yes. And although she lives as a man, her name was still her female name on the Facebook.
She lives as a man?
Well, that's what everything pointed to. She'd recently been to a Tudor fancy dress party, of course, and dressed as a man to that.
That's extraordinary. And on her sort of, has she got a MySpace or is it just Facebook?
Facebook.
Do you have to list things like on MySpace, things that you like? Winston Churchill, powdered egg?
Oh, I love powdered egg. No, there was none of that.
Never eaten powdered egg. Is that what people are still eating in the north?
I was brought up on powdered egg.
Do they still make it? I thought they stopped making it about 1956.
I thought once rationing stopped, I forgot that the north is still rationed,
it did take a long time.
Pretty much in the 80s we were still rationed,
yeah. That's right, 96 it finally stopped
it
in
finally
Newcastle.
stopped, yeah.
I think the astronauts still have powdered egg, don't they?
Right.
Because they can't take real eggs into space.
Why? Because they float around?
Yeah.
It does sound like a feed line to a joke. Yeah. Why can't you take eggs into space?
Answers on a postcard.
There we go. 64046. Think about the reasonable punchline to the feed line. Why can't you take an egg into space?
Louis C.K. will have an answer for that.
He will, yeah.
He'll straight away. It comes straight out of his brain.
That's what he does.
Yeah, that's what he's a professional. I was going to say he's a pro, but I realised that's not a word, so I went with the whole word professional. That's one thing I'm not. So, yes, you found her. She's now living as a man from the 1940s, so she's still very much stuck in the 40s. It's not like she's moved to the sort of early 50s now.
No, still stuck in the 40s. There was pictures of a hiking trip with full 40s attire, rolled up shirt, sweater around the middle, long shorts.
Wow.
I love her.
No more information on what she works as, what she does?
No, she has a degree.
Right.
I mean, this took me about 6 hours of detective work because I couldn't remember her surname.
Sure.
So I had to go through old records of, like, exam results and things, but I found her. I found her.
Wow. Is she one of these people who is slightly in denial that what she does is slightly unusual, or does she happily talk about, oh, well, I've always dressed like this and I just like it, or is she kind of, what of it? What?
As I recall, because we were only friends when I was 13, it was never acknowledged.
Right, okay.
I
think people who wear clothes like that never talk about it. Much more interesting. Much more interesting.
I've never known that this is the most eccentric I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? I'm a couple of steps removed. I see these documentaries with nutters on there, and I feel like I don't know anyone involved. But here, it's not inconceivable she could be a guest on this programme.
It's not inconceivable.
Choosing, her favourite Glenn Miller.
Big band.
Yeah.
Swing hit.
Wow. I could talk about this every week. Every time I hear it, it's like I've heard it for the first time. It's so bizarre.
My friend reminded me of her nickname at school, which was Beamish. And the reason her nickname at school was Beamish, that in Newcastle we have a huge Victorian museum that's a bit like a proper Victorian village. So that was the best thing anyone at my school could come up with. Completely wrong time period. They called her Beamish.
Because there's a museum called Beamish.
That was pretty much it. That's for 13-year-olds, you'd think they'd be a bit sharper than that. But again, we all discussed the fact, never bullied. She was never bullied.
I just think it's tremendous. I think it's just I think it's so heartening that someone who is that mad can get a degree.
I think it's a quirk.
I think that's a wonderful sign of, the education system in this country.
If I was a small girl who liked to dress up as a small boy from the 1940s, I'd spend my whole time just pretending to be a ghost to freak out older people in the town. I'd just wander into the garden of an old couple who I knew lost a child during the war or something, and just stand there for a bit, gaze through the window. Then they go and tell their wife, and then I'd disappear. And they come back. He's gone. It'd be so much fun doing that.
Do you know what? It's great because you know what, Ruth? That's not inconceivable, because sometimes you've come onto the show and it's looked a little bit like you have just stepped out of 1946. It's not inconceivable. The hair, the manner, the poshness. I'd like to see you maybe do that for kicks.
Okay.
Pop it on YouTube when you've done it. Obviously, film it on your phone and pop it on YouTube.
Okay.
Thanks very much. I know we were going to talk about something else, but we haven't got time because we've got me talk about music. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago to Sammy. You like. I know you've been charmed in recent years by Hot Chip, and obviously you've also enjoyed Pendulum. You quite like Pendulum, don't you?
I do, yes.
Pretty sort of mental electronica from Australia, I think.
They are from Australia, I think, tenuously.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Jake Slazenger, nom de plume of Mike Paradinas, who was he's a kind of electronica guy, generally records under the name Musique. But anyway, he put out an album. This is way back, '96, and you'll find, I think, that it predates a lot of the tunes you've been enjoying in recent years. Check it out, Hot Fumes, Jake Slazenger. From the same stable as Aphex Twin and Square Pusher and the like, Warp Records. That's Mike Paradinas and his guys, Jake Slazenger, and a tune called Hot Fumes from his 1996 effort Das ist ein Groovy Beat, ja. Sammy, will you be checking it out?
I'm sold. That was brilliant. I've made a note of the album title.
You see, I was there ahead of the pack.
Well, I was 10 when that was released. You can't expect me to be that far ahead of the pack.
Ooh, slow down. Don't criticise the big man. So, amazingly, you've had a couple of responses to the egg throwout.
Yeah, I mean, we did a great setup for a joke that doesn't exist. The setup being, why can't astronauts take eggs into space? We've had 3 responses of differing quality. First one from Peter. See how you like this. Why can't astronauts take eggs into space? In case they get fertilised.
I don't understand.
That doesn't really work as a joke.
That's the old joke about how to let your eggs in the morning.
Yeah.
Fertilised?
But
you're talking specifically to a woman.
Yeah, but space, that doesn't work. Where's the space angle?
Yeah.
Okay, well, A. Collins, who's in Southampton.
Andrew Collins?
It might be, actually.
Could be broadcaster Andrew Collins. Oh, he's a pro.
He wants his job back. Why can't astronauts take an egg into space? Because they're too chicken.
Weak.
Yeah, it's weak. It works.
No, I mean, I like the effort.
Yeah.
I don't like the joke.
Okay, this is for me. It's the winner. We'll see how it goes down. Jim in Bournemouth. Why can't astronauts take eggs into space? Because eggs are terrestrial.
Oh, hang on. Wait a minute.
Hang on.
Wait a minute.
That's a problem.